Hello, Demons Fae, and those in between. This is Dizzy, and pardon me real quick. I'm back! Okay, I really hope that wasn't too loud. Sorry, I'm just really excited to be back. I finally have some time to sit down and do some recording, so I'm really excited to do this. Of course, I will be continuing A Thing with Wings by PaperPuffin. We are on chapters 16 and 17, so let's get started. By late afternoon, Bruce was officially worried. Even with Leanne put down for a nap, Dany was nowhere to be found. Bruce had been telling himself that Dany was making himself scarce because of the active toddler, but even that felt flimsy with how fondly Dany spoke of his own niece, though, of course, that was without the wings in play. Maybe Dany was trying to avoid having his feathers pulled on. Maybe Dany was afraid of himself. "Alfred, have you seen Dany?" "No, sir," Alfred said, as he looked up from the dinner he was preparing. "Perhaps he went with Master Damien to help at the animal shelter?" Bruce shook his head. "I've already checked. Tim, Cass, and Steph are still out. Duke just got home. Dick went with Jason, much to Jason's annoyance. He did remind to text me as such, as they may not make it back for dinner," Alfred said. "But it remains that I have not seen Dany. He never came around for lunch, either." Bruce gave a little hum to show he heard the concerning news. That was far more than simply avoiding a toddler. He went over to the phone in the kitchen that Alfred still insisted on having and pulled down the false panel next to it. On the revealed screen, Bruce went through the biometric login process, meant to be as quick as it was secure. As soon as he was in the system, Bruce activated the infrared camera for the manor and surrounding land. Him and Alfred in the kitchen, Leanne in her room, various pets, Duke in the study having just come up from the cave. There. Bruce closed out of the system, made sure it was secure, and closed the panel up before he headed off. The only other human-sized signature, and at least it was only human-sized, was in the guest wing. It was tucked away in some shuttered and unused lounge. It had to be Dany. Not wanting to startle Dany, Bruce gave a soft knock on the door before he opened it and slipped inside. The room was still in the way that only a room unused for decades could get. The furniture was cloth-covered. The valuable and useful items had all been moved to other rooms where they would be looked after. The rest was just there, like ghosts of Wayne Manor past. The only disturbance to the room was the drape over the window seat, just barely pulled back where it was pushed open by Dany's knees. "Dany?" Bruce asked. He worked across the room as carefully as Dany had. Not a cloth was disturbed. "Do you think Alfred would have the time to drive me back to my apartment before dinner?" Dany asked. His voice was calm, in a way that felt detached. He didn't look towards Bruce. "I should get back. I should check on my plants. I should do some work. I'm sure that in this case Lucius would understand me keeping some awkward hours, but I should get back to it." Bruce continued to slowly cross the room. He sat against the arm of the cloth-covered chair across from the window. Dany was backlit by the light, making him hard for Bruce to see. "I'm sure Lucius would understand you taking more time if you need it." Dany just gave a soft hum. "If you really want to go back home, I can drive you back," Bruce said, "though I assure you that there's no rush to leave our side." "You're supposed to be spending time with your granddaughter," Dany said. There was an off-warble to his words. "She's napping, and will be out for another hour at least. Structured rest time is apparently very important for toddlers," Bruce said, still amused at the lecture he had gotten from Jason on it all. "Structure helps them know what to expect, so they can better cope with the day at an age where they are constantly experiencing new events and sensations," Dany parroted back. Apparently, he had gotten some lectures of his own. "Your sister and niece," Bruce said with a little nod. You can, of course, do whatever you feel most comfortable doing, but I did expect to see you around Leanne some today." That was the wrong thing to say, by Danny's slight flinch. Or maybe the right thing to say for getting to the bottom of what was wrong. Danny wrung his hands. Jason didn't. When Danny seemed unable, or at least unwilling, to continue, Bruce reached out his hand. It felt like reaching across a divide. It was a relief when Danny reached back. Gently, Bruce curled his hand around Danny's, mindful of the overly sharp fingernails. He brushed his thumb over the dusting of fine feathers there. 1,000 variables spun through his mind about why Danny was continuing to change now and what could be done about it. "Jason is worried I could hurt Leanne," Danny explained in that same detached voice. "And when this happens, it's easy to see why he fears that." "That's less about you, I think, and more about things that Jason fears most," Bruce said. When he was dead to us, it was because I failed him." "Bruce." "No, it's true," Bruce said with a shake of his head. "I was trying to protect him from the world and the ugliness of things and his own anger, but I did it poorly. I didn't know I needed to explain myself or where to even start, and that led into him trying to find his birth mother and, well, everything else. Leanne may not be his, not yet, but it's really just time, and I think Jason's biggest fear is to fail to protect her like he was failed. It makes him overly cautious." "But is he wrong?" Danny asked. "Yes," Bruce answered without hesitation. Danny snorted. "Such easy belief." "When did this happen?" Bruce asked. He ran his fingers over Danny's taloned fingers to make it clear what he was asking. "When I got how afraid of me Jason was?" Bruce nodded. "When you saw yourself as a monster because of it." "Perhaps a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, then?" Danny gave a tired little snort. "You and my doctor would have a grand time talking about the psychology of this whole change." "Well, I am a fan of psychology. It helped save my relationship with my family," Bruce said. "But for what it's worth, this, your hands, that doesn't make you a monster." "Doesn't it?" Danny asked. "No," Bruce said before he brought the hand up to press a kiss to it. "Now, if you really want to go home, I'll take you, but don't go because you're running." Danny gave an over-the-top sigh. No, Bruce repeated with a little smile. "Okay, I'll stay at least through the night," Danny agreed. "But I do think I should go back tomorrow. I should check on my plants, check on work, take some time to just think." "Okay, that sounds like a much better plan, as does getting out of this room." Bruce stood, Danny's hand still in his. "Alfred would hate to know that you were in a room that wasn't properly set up." "Oh, well, for Alfred then," Danny said as he stood and let Bruce lead him from the gloomy room. "Of course, for Alfred." Bruce spun his chair around to watch Jason and Roy basically limp off Jason's motorcycle. "Rough mission." "Wasn't supposed to be, but it sure as fuck was," Roy said with an amusing level of cheerfulness for how exhausted he obviously was. "Well, I can offer to make you both roast beef sandwiches for dinner's leftovers," Bruce offered as he stood. "There's even some potato chips in the house right now, if you can believe it." "Sacrilege," Jason muttered through a yawn. "Add some apple slices to the plate and you got a deal, old man." Bruce let himself smile. "Go clean up and patch up. I'll have things ready in the kitchen by the time you're done." "A shower!" "That sounds like a really, really nice idea," Roy said, and started right that way. "Hot water, my beloved, come to me." "What am I, chopped liver?" Jason asked as he followed. Bruce shook his head with an amused little chuckle as he spun back to let Oracle know that he would be off comms. Luckily, it was a slow night, so there'd be no issue with him stepping away even for a more limited set of bats out on the streets. He rolled his wrists as he took the elevator up, working out the ache in them. He'd not been kind to his body over the years, and these days his body liked to let him know it. Simple range of motion exercise in the car or elevator or line helped to smooth more than they should. He was grateful for every bit of relief. As he entered the kitchen, he flicked Alfred's radio down on low. The soft jazz filled the room, and Bruce hummed along as he pulled out the ingredients. British mustard for Jason, but yellow for Roy. A bit more mayo for Roy and pickles on Jason's. Neither would want lettuce, not for this type of sandwich. Bruce was munching on a slice of apple when the boys came into the kitchen, hair still dripping and dressed in sweats. He poured Jason a glass of milk and set it by his plate. "Thanks," Jason said, and took a long drink. "And thanks for looking after Leanne," Roy said, around a mouthful of bread and roast beef. "Always," Bruce said. "You know that I love having her here." "Still, thanks. She is a toddler, and I know she's a lot," Roy said. "No problems?" "We had a very exciting afternoon in the garden looking at insects. And yes, I made sure she wore a hat and sunscreen. She had a little fuss after we came in, but I think she was just a bit overly tired," Bruce said. He gave a moment to debate before adding, "I actually would say Dany had the worst day in the house." Roy set his sandwich down and sat up, face apologetic. "Oh shit, is he not a kid person? Did Leanne pull out his feathers or something?" Jason was frowning, brow all furrowed. Bruce shook his head. By all signs, he loves kids. No, he felt he had to stay away from Leanne out of respect of Jason's wishes. Roy turned slowly to look at Jason, his disapproval clear in the slant of his mouth. "Jason?" That wasn't... Jason made a noise of frustration. He ran a hand roughly through his hair. "I just didn't want him to be alone with Leanne." "Jason," Roy said again. "He's a stranger, and a dangerous stranger at that. I don't see what's so wrong about wanting some supervision," Jason said. "You trust him around your siblings," Roy pointed out. "My siblings know kung fu," Jason argued back. "Right. And why is Dany dangerous?" "Because he turned into a giant otherworldly bird," Jason practically hissed. Roy crossed his arms. "So you're saying he's dangerous because he's a meta?" It was like the words brought Jason to a halt so quickly that he had to rear back. "What?" "Because of what he can shapeshift into, he's dangerous. That's what you're saying," Roy said. "Wow, I didn't think I was dating a bigot." "I'm not. Come on, you know I'm not," Jason almost shouted before he remembered himself and lowered his volume. "It's about the fact that he could take on Ivy's plants in that form, and he took on a whole group of the Mad Hatter's goons with just his wings out. He's obviously both skilled and strong, at least when he's got bird bits. And he's a genius. Smart, skilled, and strong is a dangerous combination." "I think Roy's point is very good," Bruce said softly. "Is that the way you were saying it? That's not how it sounded. None of us think you have issues with metas. Of course not. But just like Dany is an unknown to you, you are to him. He doesn't know that. I think that what Dany heard was that because he's a meta, you were afraid of him being near Leanne." The fight left Jason in a rush. "Oh, the The wings, these changes he's going through, it scares Dany, Bruce explained. And because he's scared of himself right now, of course he's going to think you're scared of him for the same reasons, not because of the fact that he can fight. Jason rubbed at his face. Shit, I really fucked up, didn't I? Well, we're good at that, Roy said before he leaned over and kissed Jason's cheek. But I really do know you're not a bigot. I wouldn't actually think that for a second, but I knew it would get your head out of your ass if I called you one. Thanks. I needed the help, I guess, Jason said with a sigh. He glanced over at Bruce. Do you think Dany will give me a chance to apologize? I think that Dany is the type of person to be far too forgiving, Bruce said honestly. And in this case, I think that if you explain things, he'll even understand. Dany, can I talk to you for a moment? Dany closed his eyes and took a slow breath before turning to face Jason. He tucked his hands into his pockets. Jason, sure. I hope yesterday went well. Long, but well, yeah, Jason said. He looked away from Dany and shifted his weight in a way that seemed almost nervous. I owe you an apology. Dany blinked. Pardon? For yesterday, Jason said. I hurt you, which wasn't what I meant to do. I was in a rush and didn't stop to think about what I was saying, and what I did say, I said badly. I'm sorry about that. Oh. Dany resisted the urge to reach up and rub the back of his neck. That's okay, Jason. Apology accepted. Jason cut himself off with a frown. It doesn't have to be okay. I know I fucked up. I don't want to fight with you, Jason, Dany said with a little shake of his head. So what? You'll just let yourself be hurt and roll over and pretend it's okay? Dany shrugged. That's how I've survived. Which maybe was a bit sad, but it was true. Go along with his parents' work, die in a portal, die again, try to keep the peace, lose everything for cheating, be punished for not liking a holiday, for being too nerdy, too curious, too much. He'd been rolling over and playing dead all his life. Jason rubbed his face. You don't have to do that, and I'm sorry I made you feel like you have to here. A lot of us, we're bad at saying things. Alfred and Bruce say too little, I say the wrong thing, Dick pretends to be happy, and Tim wants to make everyone else happy. Cass struggles with words, and Damien his emotions. Duke might be the only competent one in this house, but you shouldn't have to just give in for any of us. Dany glanced away. You shouldn't, Jason insisted. Because if nothing else, we're all trying to be better. And if we're going to be better, we have to be called on our bullshit. Yesterday, I fucked up. I am scared of you being alone with Leanne, but because you're still mostly a stranger to me. That just means I'd prefer to start if Alfred or Bruce were with you two. I didn't mean to make you feel like you had to hide or that there's something wrong with you. Isn't there? Fuck no, Jason said, with such earnest fervor that Dany was left looking at him in surprise. There is nothing wrong with you being a meta and the changes that you're going through. And me being wary of you with Leanne has nothing to do with that. It's just my own fears and need to make sure she's safe. And if you're fine with it, I mean really fine with it, I'd like to get to know you better so that I can get rid of that fear. Jason stepped forward and offered his hand. So, sorry for being a raging asshole. I didn't mean to be. Not that it makes it much better. But, hi, I'm Jason Todd, and I'd like to get to know you better so that you're not a stranger. Is that okay? Dany gave a little snort of amusement at the theatrics, but he reached out and took Jason's hand with his own. His own hand was almost normal again, save for the scattering of soft, downy feathers. Danny Fenton, and I'd like that. Okay, that was the end of chapter 16. I have a lot to say on this chapter. I love it so much, but for the sake of all you listening and wanting me to shut up, we're gonna go ahead and move on to chapter 17. Over the years in Gotham, Dany had worked hard to make it home. After years of constantly moving from community college to undergrad, to his master's, to doctorate, to postdoctorate, to early jobs, he had just wanted to be settled. He'd chosen his apartment carefully. He had splurged too much of his first few paychecks on real adult furniture, and he had worked hard at making sure his plants thrived. He had even considered a pet. He had filled his place with books and photos and trinkets and made it a home. Stepping into his place again after his time with the Waynes, the place just felt hollow. Dany didn't much care for the feeling. He hoped the weirdness was temporary and just caused by the oddness of everything else. Maybe it would pass quickly, he told himself as he put away the clothing that Alfred had adjusted for him. Maybe it was just the quiet, he told himself, turning on the TV as he watered his plants and refilled the automated system that the boys had turned on for him. Maybe he was just lonely, he admitted, as he quietly ate dinner on his couch. He tried not to think about it. Work made things a little bit easier, though Lucius refused to let Dany work full-time. Dany almost got angry about that until Lucius's face softened in a way that said friend and not boss. "If you're going through monumental physical changes," Lucius said, eyes darting to Dany's wings, "ignoring the emotional and mental toll, your body is expending energy in ways that we cannot account for, energy your body may not have. I will not have you risking yourself to put in a full day's of work." But nothing. You're one of my best, Dany, and have put in more than your fair share of work over the years. Do some tinkering, dream up some ideas. Hell, make some puzzles to torment the new batch of interns with so we can see what they're really made of, Lucius suggested. But take care of yourself first. Dany sighed, but nodded. You make an annoying amount of sense. I'm good at that, Lucius said with a too pleasant smile. And Dany? Yeah, Lucius? If you need anything, and I do mean any damn thing, you let me know, all right? Lucius asked pointedly. Beyond being one of my best, I'd like to think you're also a friend. Yes, sir, Mr. Fox, Dany said with a grin. Lucius rolled his eyes as he ended the video call. Dany slumped back into his seat. He tied a pillow to it in an effort to make it more comfortable to sit with his wings, but it was a short-term solution at best. If he was going to do some tinkering, he might as well start with the practical. He'd done his best not to keep work at home, what with his childhood history of that, but it meant things would need to be gathered from work or ordered. About 2/3 of the list went off to his intern, and some of the more esoteric things he ordered himself for delivery. He also ordered some clothing from the tailor Bruce had gotten the name of, as well as groceries to fill his fridge. At least the wonders of the modern world meant he didn't have to leave his house with the wings. Not yet, at least. Well, you're not my drafting paper, Dany said, with a little smile as he leaned against the door frame of his apartment. The collar of his well-worn sweater slipped down his shoulder, making him look wonderfully relaxed. Bruce cleared his throat and held up the takeout bag. Just a lunch offer, I'm afraid. Lucky for you, I'm starving, both for food and company, Dany said. He stepped back and let Bruce enter. I didn't realize how much I would miss being in my office. There are dozens of little interactions I have every day that I don't get while I'm locked away here like Rapunzel in her tower. Unfortunately, I don't think you have the hair for Rapunzel, Bruce pointed out as he made his way to the table to set down the food. Then he laughed and ran a hand through his hair, messing up the locks. No? Now hear me my prince in well-tailored armor, then? Bruce stepped forward to straighten Dany's locks back out. His hand drifted down to Dany's cheek as he ran his thumb across the faint scattering of freckles. If it's a rescue you want, you only have to say the word, or even just a vacation. My kids are always trying to get me to take one. I could ensure complete discretion somewhere private. I just got home a few days ago, Dany pointed out. That's not a no, Bruce replied. It's not a no, Dany agreed with a small, amused smile. He leaned up and pressed a soft kiss to Bruce's lips, then too quickly pulled away. What did you bring for lunch? There's a good Algerian place near enough to work. I stopped by there on the way, Bruce said, as he made himself break apart and move over to the bag of food. I got a selection of things. Oh, I've never had Algerian food before. I don't think. That sounds great, Dany said as he went to his kitchen, which was small but felt bigger than it was due to the open layout. What would you like to drink? I've got iced tea, ginger ale, and milk. I've also got teas and coffee I could make up quick enough. Iced tea is fine, if it's not too sweet. Otherwise, ginger ale, Bruce answered as he methodically set out the takeout containers. I'm not southern enough for sweet tea, Dany said with a soft chuckle. Where are you from originally? Bruce asked. He had gamely resisted looking Dany up. He was trying to do this the right way. Besides, anything remotely concerning Lucius would have found before even starting to consider introducing Dany to the Bats as an engineer. Ohio. I was in Chicago for undergrad, SoCal for grad, and MIT for my doctorate, and Austin for my first job, so I've made the rounds, Dany said. He set 2 glasses of tea down on the table, followed by 2 plates, some napkins, and silverware. And now Gotham, of all places? Bruce said, as he pulled out a chair for Dany. Dany gave another soft laugh, but took the offered chair and let Bruce push it in for him. Not of all places. W has always been my endgame. Well, my endgame as soon as I got myself back on track. High school was rough with the accident. It took me a while to get things back together. I had to start at a community college. Hardly anything wrong with that, Bruce assured Dany. You've gotten far further with your education than I ever did. Do you ever regret it? Dany asked, as he poked curiously at one of the dishes. Sometimes, Bruce said honestly, but I think being a doctor would have been horrible for my mental health. I've never been good at accepting that I can't save everyone. I still can't, but at least leading WE, I can help a lot more people at once, even if that is hugely thanks to the efforts of everyone else. The mastermind instead of the master, Dany said with a little nod, as if he really got it. He chewed on a potato, humming happily at the flavor, before he said, That's actually why WE was my endgame. You set up a really good environment there with diversity, pay equality, and living wages. Also, if I could get high enough, which I have, I knew I'd be able to work on independent projects, which gives me a chance to do some real good, too. Your water filters are good to save lives, Bruce agreed. I'm not sure if Lucius has spoken to you about it, but we're looking to make sure that every household in Gotham that wants one can get one. Not only will they be vital if a rogue gets something into the water supply again, but until the reform of the water system is finished, it will help the lower income areas that still have old pipe systems. Really? Dany asked, scoop of couscous, forgotten halfway from his plate. Really? I've already started laying the seeds with the board. If nothing else, I'll have them with how much good PR it'll bring for us. You are a fiend, Dany said with a little shake of his head. A very benevolent fiend, but a fiend. I just know how to work a board, Bruce said, perhaps a little smugly. I might as well use growing up rich to do some good. I think you're just good at working people. That's your mastery, Dany said. Bruce laughed. He couldn't help it. My children would strongly refuse that. The more I care for someone, the worse I am at it. Things with logic or helping others, that's easy for me to rally behind. Making sure that a loved one understands that the what and the why I'm doing something is because I care for them, miserable. I've always struggled with showing those deeper connections, maybe because it's been so easy to act in public. Danny reached over and squeezed Bruce's hand. For what it's worth, the fact that you've learned that and are trying to fix it, that means so much. I'm sure your family thinks so too. I hope so. I nearly lost some of them when I was younger and stupider. I could never stand to again. Losing Jason for a time. He ran off because we had a fight. I was trying to protect him, make sure he didn't make mistakes he would regret forever. I didn't explain myself at the time, and if I had... Bruce shook his head and put on a smile. I'm sorry. I'm making things dark. The important bit is that we will see your filters throughout Gotham, I promise. Danny surprised Bruce by leaning in and giving him a soft peck on the cheek. I don't mind your shadows, Bruce. I'm well aware that we all have them. Bruce cleared his throat and squeezed Danny's hand. His smile dropped into something smaller, but all the more real. Thank you. Danny squeezed his hand back. Now, tell me about these vacation options you're concocting. Lucius will tell you it's been too long since I've taken one that wasn't for health or to see my family. A man after my own heart then, Bruce said as he mentally ran through the options for them. To start with, sand or no sand? With feathers? I'll be cleaning the sand out of my wings for hours, Danny said. It was good to hear him mention his wings with more ease. Come now, half an hour tops. I'd gladly help. Why, Mr. Wayne, I'm starting to suspect that you are fond of my wings. Bruce just shrugged. When did I ever say that I wasn't? They're a lovely part of a lovely man. Ancients, Danny near whispered and hid his flushed face in his hands. Okay, I'm clearly outflirted. Eat and convince me of this vacation. If that's what you want, Bruce said, unable to help but be proud of the reaction from Danny. He had to wonder if they did go on a vacation, just how much he could make Danny blush like that. He expected quite a bit. This concludes a rating of A Thing with Wings by PaperPuffins, chapters 16 and 17. Okay, cool. So I actually get to talk a little bit now. First of all, love these 2 chapters. I love that this is what I came back on. I love, number 1, Jason being like, oh shit, I fucked up, and actually working to fix that. I love it when fanfic writers address that the Bat Fam has issues, and the Bat Fam in the fics actually works to address those issues as well. It's so great. I absolutely love the Bat Family, but even I can admit that they've got stuff, man. They've got a lot of stuff. So I love it when people actually address that and work on that in fics. I think it's really good, and it's part of what makes this much more believable, in my opinion, because the Bat Fam that we know canonically, I'm pretty sure would not be like this. They'd probably have a lot more issues, but the fact that all of them are going to therapy, I think further makes it believable that this would happen. Also, I love that we have Bruce standing up for Danny, and I love that they are going on another little date thingy with their lunch here at the end. It's so cute, and it's such... Someone from my comments said it perfectly. This is Old Man Yowie, and never in my life have I loved Old Man Yowie this much. It's amazing. I love it so much. Point is, I just love this so much, and I really do have to stop recording because this is getting long. I'm so sorry, but thank you all so much for your support. I am back, and hopefully I'll be able to put out a few videos this week. My hope is to get a backlog so that if I ever have to be away for a while, I still have stuff to post for you guys. But yeah. Point is, please share your thoughts on this golden piece, and don't forget to reach out to the original author, linked in the description, to express your thanks. In addition, let me know if you have any recommendations. I am always looking to add to my hoard. I do have a few fics that I have up and ready, but I am waiting to finish this one before I get started on those. But ultimately, thank you for listening to this Dragon's Hoard.